What's up, y'all? Slow GAGT. Update on the car. I know it's been a long time. Alright, so I don't even remember where I was the last update. I mean, I guess I should watch the video, but yeah, no. So I think the last I remember was oh well, you know what? Let's just start from the beginning. Alright, so having problems with my G8. The 6.0 lost compression basically on all but one piston on bank one. So me and my friend Brian, we pulled the motor out, took it apart. We pulled the pistons out, and then it ended up being three cracked pistons. So we pulled it out, put it on the patio, disassembled every single thing. Um, cleaned up the engine bay and cleaned up the engine bay. Um, what else? Took the motor apart, took it to the machine shop. They said the board was fine. Everything was fine. I mean, they polished the crank, cleaned up the block, cleaned up the new rods and piston combo. We put it in there. Um, they assembled it. I picked it up, took it home, ended up buying an engine hoist, engine stand. Um, and little by little, we piece it together. I put new rod bearings, new piston rings, new cam bearings, and new main bearings. Um, it's technically a brand new short block. Um, what else? Um, so all this stuff we basically did right over there in that parking spot in my apartments. Like literally, I stay in apartments. Um, so yeah, we pulled the motor out over there. Uh, we put it back in over there. Um, you know, we got the car running. So back to that. So me and Jasmine, my girlfriend, we got the car running one night. So the battery was there because the car was sitting for about 2 months. Me gathering parts and gathering time to do it. So we got all that stuff done, and we got in the car, tried to crank it over. Of course, the battery's dead. We put the Nissan up, hooked it up with the jumper cables, and we tried to get it started. So it started the first time. So we was like, hey, whatever. But then the belt started squealing because all the fluids and all the stuff we put in there and fan blowing the stuff around and all that good stuff. Well, really, the first time, the first three startups, it kept overheating. I couldn't figure out why. I was like, man, it's like I done burped it and all this. The dang fans wasn't plugged up. So got that solved. But like I said, it kept squealing and whatever. So I just sprayed it down with some brake cleaner and all that, so it stopped. Um, and I ran it for about 30 minutes. So I go down the street and back, and the car drove fine, no problems. But every time we tried to start it up, it would go and then you do it like 8 times and then it starts. So I was like, what the hell? So um, I had a friend come over here, Nick. He works at Cadillac in Arlington. Came over here. He brought the Tech 2, or the new version of the Tech 2 that is basically the laptop, but it has all the Tech 2 components on it. Came over here. We tried to reprogram it and all types of stuff. I even uploaded an updated tune to it to see if that would help with the fueling or something. I called my friend Alfredo, and he was telling me, hold the gas pedal and try to start it so you could drain the fuel out of it. That's not the problem. Man, I'm telling you, for 2 weeks, I could not figure out what was the problem. So, my friend Nick came back over here. He brought his voltage meter. So we plugged everything, the MAF, the oil pressure sensor, the crank position sensor, um, everything that throws out a 5 volt reference. So I was also throwing the 5 reference code. Um, uh-oh, there we go. Yeah, so I was throwing the 5 reference code. We couldn't figure out what it was. So 2 weeks later, before this, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after this, I figured out what it was. But like I said, we pulled everything. The ohms were perfect. The voltage was perfect. We could not figure out what it was. So I ended up just laying up under the car, dropped the starter. I was like, what the hell is this problem? And then I looked up, and then I saw 2 wires spliced, and you could see the copper on the crank position sensor, which I was throwing crank position, throttle body wouldn't open, and brake booster code. Well, the brake booster code was throwing because the throttle body wasn't opening, so that means there was no air going through the system. So with that being said, um, I looked at it, so I just taped it up with some electrical tape. Did some electrical tape on it, and it ended up starting perfectly. One turn, boom, started up. And really, man, through that whole time, I thought it was going to be an ECM problem because we just thought that it wasn't um, pulling, connection from the ECM. So with that being said, man, I done pulled the ECM out, put another one in. I had to order 3 of them from work. Um, I also put, like when I was at work, I put in, my car, and it pulled up an Impala, G6, Malibu, anything that's like W body basically, W body base, and G8s. So we didn't have nothing for a Caprice or a G8, and the SS runs on a different ECM. I think they run like an E40 or something like that. G8s and shit runs like a E38. So man, I put the new one in and tried to reprogram it. Didn't work. um, what else? So like in 2 weeks, I was trying a lot of different things. I didn't really buy anything, but I learned one thing. If you pull the ECM out and the connectors for the fuse box, or actually that runs the wire harness, if they're not completely tightened down by that screw, and you don't get that right contact, it doesn't, like, everything on the inside of the car turned on, but my headlights didn't cut on, and only one turn signal cut on while I had it, just turned on the on position. So I was like, man, that's not right. So I pulled it apart and put it back in, and then all the lights came on, and I hopped in the car and started the car right up, no problem. So, you know, with that being said, I was still on that baseline that Pat sent me to try to get the car to start. So with that, we was just driving around on it, and I started having problems. I had the catch can and everything routed. Sorry, y'all. I don't know what's going on with me. I know it's kind of nasty, but hey. Um, so, like I said, we were driving around, playing around. Well, we really want to play around on it because we just really wanted to put at least 200 miles on it before we just go wide open on it. Um, so me and Jazz just riding around with some friends. They're speeding ahead of us. So we're just cruising, calling to see where they were at, every periodically. And so we pulled over and we all met up, and then I started my car back up to go home, and it was puffing out smoke. I was like, oh, hell. I was like, man, I hope this is not a piston ring. So, it did it, we did it. We made it home, parked it, and then, I started talking to a lot of friends on G8 owners and SS owners and on the local pages. And, I took a picture of my catch can. I was like, man, I rarely catch any oil on the old build. And, I had a lot of blow-by, so you would think that I would have a lot more oil in there because of all the blow-by. So I ended up finding out that I had the PCV valve on the valley cover blocked off, so it wasn't catching anything, and it was just holding pressure inside of the crankcase. So with that, we end up rerouting it, and I drove it And I got on it one time, no smoke. So I had the problem solved. And then I start hearing clink, 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 clink. Oh my God, bro. It's like one problem after another. So I ended up pulling over in the freaking turn lane to turn into a neighborhood. But luckily I was right next to like a discount tire. So looked up under there. For whatever reason, I'm still leaking oil. I don't know where it's coming from. And it's on the passenger side right above the starter. So I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if it's like a trail, then it's just dripping down right there, or is it just dripping from right there? I'm wondering if it's coming from where I'm hoping that clink 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 sound is just a flex brake bolt backing out or something easy, because we're gonna drop the trans probably this weekend and see if we can figure out if we can see anything from back there, and then we'll be able to see the oil pan completely, you know, when we drop the bell housing off of the back of the engine. So um, but yeah, I'm leaking oil, don't know where it's coming from. Maybe, that's probably from the crankcase pressure being built up and it's just trying to find its way out. So hopefully the pan is fine. What was I going to say? Hope the fan is fine, and hopefully it's just a bolt. I bought new bolts for the flex plate, so hopefully that's the only problem. Um, and when I drove the car to work that week that we figured out that the catch can was routed wrong, one of my um, splitter bolts came out, and there we go. So we had to rig it up, and then it also ate up part of my splitter. So that splitter is basically destroyed. Um, my boy Gabriel, I saw him getting out from work from my boy Paul's shop, um, and we was just riding, and I was like, hey bro, I said, go look at my splitter, and while we're driving and whatnot, and he saw it sitting there just flapping, and he said he's decided just bouncing, like trying to like hit the ground, like the bottom of the bumper is flexing basically. So yeah, that happened. So I mean, honestly, man, I feel like I assembled everything but the whole bottom end of the motor myself. Um, Ryan helped out with a little bit, but most of me, he helped me put the motor back in the car. But everything else I did. Jasmine helped me, of course, as always. I basically did all this by myself. Ryan helped out by 20%, and the 80% was me. Um, I did all this stuff by myself. Didn't have no fancy shops helping me. And I never done anything like this. I mean, I put a cam in the car and I pulled the motor the last time, but I also had a lot of help. So I really didn't do it by myself. So basically, I did this by myself. And I've learned a lot, man. I've learned a lot. When you touch something by yourself and you put it together by yourself, you actually learn a lot. I mean, I also had Amari up under the car. My little brother, he wants to have his own car company. He's gonna go to school to be a engineer. So you never know, he might create his own car. But I did all this by myself, and I had Jasmine help with money wise. I had my money to help, and I mean, even my mother helped me a couple times just so I could hurry up and get it done before payday, and try to get the car running. Pay her back or whatnot. So, oh yeah, I use her Home Depot card. Yeah. So I bought my impact and my electric ratchet. Oh Lord Jesus, electric ratchets or the shit. I recommend you to have electric ratchet. But yeah. So hopefully this weekend the car will be running at 100%. It's a pain in the ass. So after that, the next thing to be doing is to get the wheels painted, put the coilovers on, fix the diff while I have the rear end apart, put a new axle seal on the driver's side, and get the Brembos painted, the 6 piston, 4 piston rears, 6 piston fronts. Get those painted the color that I'm about to do. Oh yeah. Get that done. Um, and basically, really, that's it. Suspension and brakes and just fixing that leak in the axle, and I mean, really, that's it. So I'll get back to y'all later on more updates or whatnot. So, alright, y'all, I'm out.